welcome to our vlog review of Avengers Age of Ultron. So, I will reserve thoughts for a little while. What do you guys think of the movie?
Age of Ultron, I thought it was pretty good.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I don't know if it was as good as the first one, but I was pleased.
Alright, you?
I thought it was pretty good.
Can't see. I can't see him. You're in the way.
I thought it was pretty good. I can't really say much more than that. I think.
Can you at least say it so the camera can hear you?
I thought it was pretty good.
Alright, yeah, it sounds like we both liked it. What did you think?
First I'm actually going to talk about the trailers. Just every single trailer, even Tomorrowland. We saw Tomorrowland's trailer. Pretty good trailer for Tomorrowland. Although I was really kind of irritated at the fact that it was probably like the first 10 minutes of the movie where it was like all action and none of the sci-fi stuff I know we're gonna see in the movie, and that really just kind of irritated me. It's like, look at this action movie. It's not an action movie. It's Tomorrowland. It's gonna be a sci-fi movie.
Right.
And there's like so many bwom action movie bwom, and I'm like, I just all of the trailers pissed me off. Like maybe, truth is I didn't really like Age of Ultron. I didn't think it was that good. That might have been because I went in not only kind of expecting it to be just like the first one, but also the trailers were really irritating. Like, I was just...
Alright, what didn't you like about the Age of Ultron trailers?
All of the bomb, first off. Second...
You have a thing against Wong.
Yes, secondly, it was just all action movie shite. It was just, like, none of it made me feel like I needed to go to the movies anymore. Because I know what's going to happen. Stuff's going to explode. People are going to kick other people's asses. Big fucking deal.
I had a similar concern with the movie. I thought it was going to be... I thought people were going to start getting tired of superhero movies after this one.
Yeah.
They've been on a hot streak.
Yeah.
And I felt like maybe this was going to be the peak, where people sort of start to realize, like...
I'm bored.
Yeah, they just fight different guys each time.
Yeah,
and that's like, oh,
well,
that
they did do one thing right in the trailers, and that was they showed the Batman vs. Superman trailer right before Age of Ultron started playing, and the reason that's right is because the Batman vs. Superman trailer is crap.
Yeah, so it's like...
the movie looks like it's shaping up to be the most horrible comic book movie ever.
Right.
Like, yay, it made me excited for Age of Ultron, because Age of Ultron isn't going to suck as much as Batman vs. Superman.
Well, at least I'm not watching that movie.
Exactly. And we won't be for another year, because, of course, we have to wait a year for this.
Yeah, I don't know.
But, launching into Age of Ultron, we didn't start off too badly. It was the Avengers as a team, kicking Hydra's ass. I mean, it was nice. It was a nice location, you know, snowy forest.
Yeah, I like the opening.
I mean, you saw the Avengers doing Avengers things, and that was cool. We get our first Black Widow and Hulk scene, and to anyone who didn't like that, go fuck off. I don't care about your opinions.
I liked it.
I liked the Black Widow Hulk scenes as well, or Bruce Banner.
What about you? Black Widow Hulk, what do you think?
Oh, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I mean, I don't see why everyone's so uppity about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you experienced some of that on the internet, just like people. I mean, it's not even that they didn't like. I mean, okay, you're entitled to not like stuff. You're not entitled to kind of create outrage on the internet and make other people feel bad because you don't like stuff.
It was, the reviews of it were weird.
Like somehow these scenes like killed the entire movie for them, even though I can sum up the movie like this. Stuff explodes, there's quiet scenes with Black Widow and Bruce Banner that are awesome, more stuff explodes, there's another Black Widow Hulk scene, and then more stuff explodes.
Yeah, the movie it's like 80% action.
Yeah.
And that might actually be the biggest problem with it.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I mean, I was so bored. I was actually bored through the action waiting for the quiet scenes.
Yeah.
You know, so I really liked all, well, I didn't really like all of the dialogue, but most of the dialogue in the quiet scenes, even in the first scene where Ultron appears, it is a quiet scene. There's a fight right after, but he comes up and you actually mentioned him, you mentioned something I didn't catch the first time, Now that I think about it, I do remember he's making baby noises as he crawls
Is
towards
that right?
the Avengers.
Yeah.
I
You
did
said
not
something
notice
about that. Yeah, you want to elaborate?
Yeah, like when they're it's the scene where Ultron first shows himself to him. It's after the party, and it's the scene where they're all trying to lift Thor's hammer.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, and while they're doing that, it's sort of cut in the factory floor where Ultron's body's being built, and he's shambling out of it. You know, in that half-built body he's in first for some reason, and
it was
he's making these baby noises, crying,
right?
Baby noises, sarcastically.
The reason he's in a half-destroyed body is actually because in the first segment of the movie, one of the Iron Man armors gets hit, and that's what he is. Yeah, one of the Iron Legion gets partially destroyed, and that partially destroyed Iron Legion member is actually Ultron. That's
the body he takes?
Yeah, that's the body he takes and uses pretty much for the rest of the movie, I think. And he commandeers the Iron Legion to be more Ultrons later in the movie.
Right.
So, that was kind of a bad idea. I actually, spoiler warning, if you guys don't want to hear spoilers, turn off the vlog right now and stop watching anything I do ever.
Yeah.
But spoilers, Tony Stark and Bruce Banner royally fuck up, and that's how we get Ultron. They decide to create an artificial intelligence, and I guess, I don't want to call it spurious logic, but it is kind of a really bad, just logic problem. How do we protect the world without kind of being proactive? Well, you just protect the world. You trust people to do what people are going to do, whether they fuck up or not. You know, that's human beings are fuck ups. They're going to fuck up. So yeah, but they were like, no. How do we make sure they never fuck up ever again? Well, let's create a artificial intelligence that's going to save people before they even know they need it. It's like, yeah, that sounds like it could be a complete disaster, and it was. Yes, what could go wrong? Well, apparently, Age of Ultron. So that happened. The scene, you mentioned the scene right before it where they're trying to lift Thor's hammer. That was a really good scene, if only because you had all of the members participating in the scene, even the members who were like, nah, I know I can't do it, because it showed them being a team, which is something this movie kind of flip-flops on.
I should point out something, that in the comic books, Captain America can lift Thor's hammer.
Right.
And I've heard complaints that in the movie, Captain America cannot.
Right. Well, actually,
not that he cannot, though.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually noticed.
If you notice, he budges the hammer slightly.
Because even Thor notices.
Thor notices. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was actually about. No, I was.
But he doesn't lift it. I'm thinking that he just didn't want to. He just chose not to lift it.
He didn't want to embarrass Thor.
Yeah.
Well, think that's what's happening.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I actually
Something
noticed
like that.
I noticed it the first time. Actually, in the trailers, I noticed it too. Because they have one trailer where they're sitting around doing it, and Captain America does budge Thor's hammer, and I thought that was actually a really good scene.
Cool.
I thought that was good. I noticed it as well. That whole scene was just amazing. I liked I liked pretty much all of it. The party right before it has something I was kind of unhappy with, and that was the Black Widow Hulk stuff didn't bother me. I thought it was kind of sexist that Tony and Thor were
bragging about their girlfriends.
Right, without their girlfriends there. It's like, it wasn't that they were bragging about their girlfriends. They were kind of trophies. Like, that's the impression I got. And I'm like, wait, people are complaining about Black Widow and Bruce Banner, except that this is the most sexist scene in the movie. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, in terms of sexism, it is worse than that.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure it's just mainly there to show how competitive they are.
Right.
Well, it's to mention these characters that should really be in this.
Right, but they don't have enough money to put them in. Right. No, I understand that from, ergonomical standpoint, but it's like, if you're gonna mention the characters, they kind of need to be there. Like, oh yeah, I could be watching a movie with Natalie Portman in it, except that you guys don't see fit to pay
Right.
her.
I mean, you could have just not brought it up, I guess.
Right, exactly. I mean, if you cut that one part of the party out, like, we wouldn't have really missed anything.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I guess that's why I didn't like this movie. Unfortunately, you could cut pretty much most of the movie out, and you wouldn't be really missing anything. It was all action.
Mostly the action scenes.
Right. No, and that's what I'm talking about. The fact that it was mostly action. It's like you could have had like one big fight.
Cut them down. We could have cut those way down.
Right.
Or what I like to see is like one big set piece at the end of the movie.
Right.
Maybe a couple smaller ones.
Right.
Along the way.
But they were all so long. Like,
they were all giant.
I really did.
Action
No, I like the fact that they did bring up stuff and then show them in later action scenes. But at the same time, it was kind of like you only really needed one. The first action
Really
scene,
long,
I think the first action scene after Ultron we get is the most irritating to me, because it's like you didn't need. Okay, Scarlet Witch hexes or psychically mind controls the whole team, which is supposedly why they're still bickering, even though they should have gotten over that in the first movie. And then they go try and track down the not-so-twins. And they get their butts kicked, basically, because Ultron shows up and saves the twins. And I'm like, you could have just had them meet Ultron without them, once again, like, by themselves, somehow overpowering the Avengers. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's... You find a lot of comic book nerds complain about this. The power level inconsistencies of the characters in this movie were pretty big.
Think so?
Yeah, I mean, you get different scenes with people doing different things. Like, how come Captain America couldn't fight off Scarlet Witch when Hawkeye just uses his lobotomy arrow or whatever? And it's like, okay, so Hawkeye wins, apparently. If Hawkeye fought Captain America, he'd apparently win because lobotomy arrow.
You can't get the drop on Hawkeye anymore because he already fell for that once.
Yeah, except this isn't like an anime where people are like, you know, oh, now that I've seen this technique, it will never work on me again. Right. It's like she could. I mean, she has range on that psychic power thing. It's like you could have. I mean, I don't know. It bothered me how varied all of the characters' kind of power set was. The fact is, though, that in the scenes, in the actual scenes with the downtime, they were all played as if they were, you know, real people, and they were played to type, like, Hawkeye was Hawkeye in every down scene. You know, Captain America was Captain America. It was only in the action scenes where I felt like, that's not what Captain America would do.
That's where it was inconsistent?
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, you can't make the action inconsistent and then have them go back to being, you know, normal in the downtime, because it's like, well, then, yeah, like I said, I kind of want to see more of the downtime where they're acting like themselves.
I agree that the non-action scenes were the best scenes in the movie, and I always felt like the action scenes were just sort of interrupting the movie.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to see the characters interact and hang out, and then when the action scene started, it was like, oh, not this again.
Yeah.
It's like, when's this going to be over?
Yeah, I know.
I want to see more talking.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't mind the action scenes too much, although at the same time I don't really remember any of them.
Right. That's pretty much. I think that's the moviegoers who do like action movies are going to say this movie was really good. As a writer and as a person, I personally can't stand when everything is just all action. I think action should be there for a purpose, not just because, oh look, people are...
It's like, oh, it's time for more action.
Right, no, I've gotten so sick of, like, just anime and just media in general, because it's like, look at this explosion, but I've seen it before. I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't need to see more people punch people.
Explosions.
Right, no, I don't need to see more people punch people into the stratosphere.
Right.
I've seen that before. It's old. It's dull. It's not interesting.
I mean, but the point is that you have to care.
Right.
You can't just be a spectacle anymore. Right. We've seen that too much now.
Right.
Now it's about caring about what happens in the movie.
Right. No, and that's the thing, and I think it should be. That's why, like, as much as I didn't like this movie, I will give it high praise for all of the down, quiet scenes. Like, Hawkeye has a family. He introduces to the Avengers who didn't even know he had ever dated anyone before. And I'm like, that's pretty impressive. Like, that's actually an impressive piece of writing because it shows them as people.
Yeah.
Not just as the superheroes, but as people having actual lives.
That's why I actually really liked the Black Widow stuff in this movie, because it made her seem like a real person.
Right.
It's like, I actually cared about her in this movie.
Yeah.
Whereas before, she's always just a super soldier, secret agent who just kicks ass, and like, that's it.
Yeah.
Like, she just fights, and that's her whole character for every other movie.
Right.
And here she actually seems
does
like
stuff?
a person who cares about things.
Yeah. No. I mean, and you actually get good throwaway lines actually between the characters in these down scenes, and they kind of come back in the action scenes, and that's, like I said, that's something I liked. Is that the dialogue throughout all of the scenes was really good. Black Widow refers to Hawkeye as her best friend. She knew that he had a family. She talks to his, I guess, adopted kids or kids at one point.
I think they're the
Hawkeye's kids? Or?
No, not Hawkeye's kids. Well, I mean, they never say that she's his wife. Just she's his girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they're her kids from another dude.
Oh, I never thought of that.
Maybe.
Except for, the one she's pregnant with.
But I thought they did say it was his wife.
I don't know.
That's why he could say, I don't have a girlfriend.
Right.
Earlier on in the movie. Because he doesn't. He's married.
Right. Exactly.
And he said that he had set that up a few years ago.
Yeah.
So those could be his kids.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought of that. Like.
Yeah. Spoiler. I guess spoiler alert.
We warned about spoilers.
Well, no, spoiler warning. Now that we brought up Hawkeye's family, after that scene, I thought he was gonna die. I'm like, oh, they introduced the family. They introduced the family. All right, they're gonna kill off Hawkeye. I mean, what has Hawkeye really done in these movies?
Right.
He's like Black Widow, but not Scarlett Johansson. So we care about him even less. And then they killed off Quicksilver instead. Like, it was a total fake out. It was, okay, Hawkeye's gonna die. This is the scene, because there's no way Hawkeye could get out of this. And then Quicksilver comes to the rescue, and I'm like, okay, that's cool, except he just got introduced, and he has, powers, and is an interesting character.
It seems like a waste of good potential.
Yeah.
Although I'm not really sure if he was being used very well anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he ran around, and he ran around. He's Quicksilver, so of course he's gonna run around, but he could have probably done more than just run around. It was actually kind of a reverse women in refrigerators thing, though, because his death was a plot device for Scarlet Witch to join the Avengers.
Yeah.
She wasn't sure,
That's true.
and she wasn't sure, she was kind of on the fence, she doesn't like Tony Stark because he's kind of a douche,
right.
And then Quicksilver dies, and she's like, no, kill all the Ultrons! And I'm like, okay, that's cool, but, I wanted to see more of Quicksilver, too.
Yeah.
You just, whatever. It's...
I guess. I liked how his powers were depicted in the X-Men version more.
Yeah.
Days of Future Past.
Yeah, that was actually pretty good. He, slows down time almost. Or rather, when he does get hit, when we do see him use his powers, we see it from the perspective of this man out of time kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really cool. Or you don't see it at all. He just appears and disappears. He's moving so fast you don't even see it.
I forget. Is the X-Men a different movie company?
Yeah. See, that's the thing, and that I was going to say might actually be why they killed him off.
Right.
Because there's some dispute about whether
Right.
Quicksilver's an X-Men character or an Avengers character.
Well, apparently Scarlet Witch is most definitely an Avengers character.
I guess, even though she's also a mutant.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, well, once again, they're enhanced here. They're not mutants
there's no mutants.
Yeah, no. But there aren't any anyway. If you think about the Marvel Universe, everybody's a mutant. They're just not treated yes, there's a distinction there. Mutates and then mutants.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that's nice, but they're all mutated, so shut up.
Can you say the Hulk has a mutant power?
Right, the Hulk out.
The gamma radiation mutated him, right?
Right, yeah, no, but they like to make silly distinctions. Although, speaking of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch as a character, before they were on the Avengers, I really didn't like them. They were punks. it's like I don't know. Maybe it's really hard to write, young adults. Maybe it's just really hard to write young adults without thinking like, oh, they're angsty and juvenile and just kind of annoying. And I'm like, but that's not real people. Real teenagers or real people are not always like that in young adulthood. There are mature people who are young adults as well. But no, it's like in movies, it's like, oh, they're teenagers, so they're brats. And it's like, it's like, or they could actually be good characters.
They were, they had to be sort of disgruntled. Right? They had a grudge.
They were pissy. They
had a grudge against the Avengers.
No, they had a grudge against Tony Stark, and it's like, because he's on the Avengers, let's take down the Avengers. I mean, it was a good move, but also kind of a complete character 180 for Scarlet Witch at the very end to be like, oh my god, Ultron, you're going to destroy the world. We're against you now. It's like, you didn't understand that to begin with. Like, are you a dumbass?
You're working for an evil robot.
Right, like, what did you expect to happen? Like, I guess because he said he was going to save humanity, which nowadays in every movie villain's terms, save humanity means kill off humanity. It's like, that's not how you save people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, Ultron, don't be Superman and the Man of Steel. Saving people does not mean killing them yourself.
Speaking of Scarlet Witch's face-heel turn, or heel-face turn.
Yes. Stupid wrestling terms.
She says,
how could you do this?
No, she says to Captain America that they have to stop Tony from activating Vision.
Except, yeah, Vision is the one who saves the day. Oh,
no, it's not even that, but it's that
Vision is
she
another
says, well, she doesn't specifically say that they need to stop him from activating Vision. What she said, because Captain America first thinks that.
Right, she implies that Tony's going to do something bad again.
Yeah, first he just thinks Captain America just thinks that she just doesn't like him. But then she says that Tony Stark is going to do everything he can to fix things.
Right, and it's like, oh no, we don't want our problems fixed.
Well, the implication being that he is going to try and just screw up even more because that's his character.
Except that,
even though before,
except that these last 3 movies have been about him making amends for the stuff he already screwed up. Like, it's not really his fault.
I would have tried to stop him from building Vision also. Because, like, didn't you just do that?
Right.
Isn't that the guy we're fighting right now? Isn't it a you built?
the thing I'm having an issue with is, why does Scarlet Witch change her opinion of Stark from
seeing Vision?
From the millionaire military industrialist,
right,
who just doesn't care about who his weapons hurt.
Yeah. And
suddenly decides that he is a bleeding heart who means well, but ultimately screws up every time.
Because apparently they're the same thing. No,
she doesn't even meet Iron Man in the movie.
Right. Well, not like one-on-one or whatever.
It's just one of those things where, because the audience knows, now the characters know it.
Right.
Like, she's also watching the movie, so she figures it out.
Hey, she's Scarlet Witch, she has reality powers. No, you're psychic. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
that's so bullshit.
I don't know.
Right. She read his mind from a million miles away.
I don't know what she did.
Yeah, no, I actually liked Vision. I like the fact that he was kind of a non-stupid Ultron. Mm-hmm. Basically, he gets the best lines in the movie. The last real line in the movie, I think you liked a lot.
Oh yeah. When he's confronting
Ultron.
the last Ultron robot.
Yeah,
and it tells him that he's naive, and then Vision just pauses for a moment and says, "Well, I was born yesterday," and then he laughs.
I do like. Once again, it was also a quiet scene because before then they were debating philosophy, and I really, once again, another thing I'm sick of. Partly because I have this attitude myself, is this cynical like human beings will never get any better. Time to kill them all. It's like, or you could wait, or you could wait and see if like this abhorrent completely retarded prediction you've made even comes remotely close to being true.
Especially if you're Ultron, what's the rush? You don't age.
Right, you're a robot.
Right.
You're going to live forever. You're going to live forever anyway. Hey,
See what
you know what?
happens.
My ultimate plan to murder the human race is to die of old age. So, like, I'm just going to die of old age,
Eventually they will.
and I win. You know, if my plan is to die of old age, I will always win.
Also, when did they start calling Vision? Because
Like right away.
yeah, like
Well,
they
it's because
already
he-
knew his name.
Well, it's because he had.
And the first
it's because
time
well,
I
it's because
remember-
of the heavy-handed references to them having a vision,
Right,
and the
right.
fact that he gets the Mind Stone, so it gives
Right.
him vision.
Yeah,
and it's
I mean,
like, okay,
the
you
first
can
time
only
I remember
you can only name drop
the
vision
first
so
time
many
I
times.
remember them referring to him as Vision. And in fact, I feel like it's the first time I even hear the word Vision in the movie. Is after he's awake and talking to people.
Right.
I think one of them says. One of the Avengers turns to Stark and says, "Why does your vision sound like Jarvis?"
That's the thing, though. It's not the first time. That's like the 100th time.
Yeah.
Because he spent this whole
That's the first time I noticed.
No, he
it.
says the whole
I was
point.
looking for it.
No, it's the whole scene there name dropping Vision. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, just call him Vision already. Like, stop referring to it as the Vision or a Vision or, someone's Vision. He's Vision. We know he's Vision. We've read the comics. You're just going to have to say it at some point instead of, like, name dropping. I mean, it should have been Avengers Age of Vision. Because it's like...
No, it's true. Because they're talking about what Scarlet Witch made Tony Stark see
in his vision.
And they say to him like, "Oh, she made you hallucinate, or it was an illusion."
No,
or
I had a
something."
vision.
He says, "No, it wasn't an illusion. It was a vision." And then that's like inspires him to create this
Right.
robot
That he already-
that is his vision come to life. You see, and this is the whole thing.
Yeah, like, stupid name dropping. Just like... It's like,
Well, otherwise, how are you going to explain it? Because it's like Nicholas was saying, if you
Right.
just start with that, it doesn't make any sense. Because that's the first thing. It's like, wait, you call him Vision now? Why?
Yeah,
Because it's not like
because you have to.
he doesn't have like supervision or whatever. He doesn't have X-ray vision.
Yeah,
Why are
but
you calling
even
him that?
well, it's a good thing he didn't, because that's a light power.
It's
But
because he is the realization
of someone's
of
vision.
Tony Stark's
Vision.
vision of
Yeah.
the future.
Yeah, that's actually that was I don't know if I mean I guess I can't call it cheap because it was a very expensive scene. I'm assuming with lots of extras and special effects, but all of their quote unquote visions of the foreshadowing for stuff to come. I'm like, you could just like maybe if you have a newsletter, like tell us what's gonna happen in the next few movies instead of like this like maybe 5-10 minute long scene where they're all hallucinating the future, and I'm like, or
that's interesting,
why
though.
don't they just tell them what's going to happen? Like,
Because-
why doesn't Thor's vision just go, Loki's actually Odin now?
Because
Like,
I thought her power was... I heard her power was hypnosis or whatever, and I assumed...
how does that make them see the future?
That's what I was going to say. I assumed she was just showing them, like, their worst
Their
fears.
Yeah, because that's what it seemed like with Tony Stark
Well,
and with Black Widow.
Except that somehow Tony learned from his vision how to create a robot. And I'm
No, he
assuming
didn't learn
well,
that
he
from the
was-
vision.
he
He
was-
learned that from the staff.
He was inspired to... Oh,
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, and technically he sees that before he creates Ultron.
right.
So it does inspire him to do that. Well, but that's also like the theme. This is another weird thing. That was the theme of Iron Man 3. Is that he had this post-traumatic stress and stuff from the first Avengers movie.
Right.
And he had built he was building these tons and tons of armors
Right.
and robots and things.
Right.
And then at the end of the movie, he sort of comes to terms with that and blows them all up.
Right, and then now he's super paranoid about everything
Yeah,
again.
and then in this one, he's like, oh, by the way, I also built an army of robots.
No, I mean, this movie is very much like...
In the meantime.
Name dropping, I guess, an online reviewer. Phalis complains about this a lot in movies. And this is kind of a movie that expects you to remember a lot of things, but forget a lot of everything
Yeah,
else. It's
I
like,
know this has to take place after Iron Man 3 because I noticed
Right.
he doesn't have the chest
Right.
thing anymore, the chest light.
right, but if
Oh, I
it
didn't
did,
notice that.
why does he have the Iron Legion?
I didn't notice that. But yeah, the
He
Iron
blows
Legion
up the Iron Legion and he says...
seems like something right out of Iron Man 3. Yeah.
Right, no, I mean, I guess because he knew he needed Iron Man, except that the whole point of the third movie was him kind of finding a different way to
Yeah.
be a
Yeah,
hero
you're tired
besides
from being
Iron Man.
Yeah, didn't he? Yeah, he basically seemed like he retired.
Right.
That one.
Right. No, and there's like
It's
the
not.
best scene ever where he's talking to where he begins and ends the Iron Man 3 by talking to Bruce Banner, who's just like, I don't give a shit. Like, I was asleep for the whole movie. So, like, I have to tell you this shit again. But no.
Right.
Actually, once again, on the subject of actual people, or rather the characters being actual people, I liked all of the friendships that were being made, even while they were returning to, like, let's have the team bicker. It's like, yeah, but that's stupid. But you see Tony and Bruce having, like, really good moments together where they're arguing philosophy or just being, just playing off of one another, in banter and in conversation. And that's really good.
Well, I suppose that in the first Avengers movie, they're bickering because they don't know each other very well.
Right.
But in the second one, they're bickering because they're friends.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, because...
Yeah, I guess.
Here's the thing. It wasn't...
I argue with you guys all the time.
I feel like they didn't overdo it, because what they could have done was they could say...
Oh, like the team... Well, okay.
Said, yeah, we don't agree on this, so this team is through. We're over.
Right.
We're going our separate ways or whatever. But no, it was more like, we don't agree on this, so we'll have to work that out. It was like, okay. I mean, there was this sort of underlying thing.
That's true. Well, I guess maybe
together.
I was too focused on the actual problem with the bickering, and that was how much Tony and Captain America, or Iron Man and Captain America, I know they're setting it up for Civil War, which is but it was like, no matter which one decided to do something, it was the wrong decision in the other person's mind. Everybody else, you're right, they had some bickering moments, and then they kind of got over it, which is fine, that's good. But Iron Man and Captain America didn't get over it. It was like, you're doing something wrong.
Yes.
No, I'm doing something right. Now the reverse later, you're doing something wrong. No, I'm doing something right. Like, it's just like, all right, one, make up your minds, and two, shut up. Like,
yeah, but they came together at the end, and they were still a team at the end.
Yes.
They didn't...
Well, yeah.
Which is kind of surprising, because like you said, the Civil War is the next big one that's coming up next year.
Right.
This is going to be a follow-up to this, so it is a lot that
even though it's a Captain America movie.
Yeah.
It's Captain America Avengers 3.
But Iron Man's going to be in it.
Right.
And it's a little weird that they didn't set it up stronger and have them say, okay, the team is through. We're going to fight next time I see you.
Right.
Let's come back next year.
Like I said, it was just... But that's the thing. It's like... I would rather they have... I mean, that's, I guess, just the person I am. I would rather they have something definitive than kind of this... It just kind of made me feel like it was the first movie. I mean, yes, there were differences, as you pointed out, and I didn't notice them. I will be the first to admit that I didn't notice a lot of the differences until you guys just pointed out. But it is kind of like, I did see this before. I did see them bickering, and unless you're going to kind of give me something to work with, like, is there a payoff to their bickering? No, it's they get over their bickery state somehow. Everybody else kind of got over it because it was natural for them.
Right.
Iron Man and Captain America got over it because Iron Man lifts a giant island.
Because Vision was cool.
Yeah,
never mind.
I don't actually know. Yeah, no, right, no, that's the thing. Like, but that's the thing here. Vision was cool, and I thought Vision was cool, but even Captain America was like, I don't like Vision until Vision picks up Thor's hammer, and I'm like, that's not... I mean, okay, yes, he picks up Thor's hammer, so he's worthy to be Thor. But using that as your measuring stick to what... it's like, how do we solve the problem of Captain America once again bickering with Iron Man?
Right.
Well, let's have Vision pick up Thor's hammer.
It's like, we got 30 seconds to solve this.
Right.
What should we do?
Just have him pick up Thor's hammer. It's a prop we have lying around. It's like...
I kind of like how this scene goes, though, because it's not like Vision pointedly picks up the hammer just to show that he's a good guy.
No, he just does it off screen.
Just casually picks it up and
go.
hands it to Thor.
Right.
He didn't even know it was supposed to do anything.
Right. No, I mean, and that's... but I think that's still a clever way to disguise your cop-out. Of, like, how do we get them to stop arguing? Well, they need to trust Vision. How do we make them trust Vision? Thor's hammer! It's right there! It's like, yeah, okay, that's fine.
I'll have to look it up online and see if Vision in the comic books is worthy of Thor's
Yeah, I
hammer.
have no idea.
Well, Captain America is, but...
Right. They make a point at the end, which is really funny, that maybe it doesn't count because he's a robot.
Right.
It's like,
If you put it in an elevator, the elevator goes up. Is the elevator worthy of being Thor?
Right. Right.
Well, apparently, yes. The elevator is, in fact, worthy of being Thor.
But say what you will about the bickering and the fighting or whatever, and the angst. In this movie, and it did get angsty. There was a lot of down moments.
Right.
I got the impression in the first Thor movie that you can't lift Thor's hammer even with a machine.
Right.
I mean, they were like trying to dig out from underneath it, and it's just like this column.
They chained it to a truck.
Right.
Yeah.
That didn't work. So
they couldn't even.
I guess it would just fall
this
through the
column
elevator
underneath
then.
itself somehow.
So the elevator is, in fact, worthy of being Thor.
Yes.
Okay. Got it. Soon enough, we'll see elevator Thor.
Although the Earth is constantly moving, so apparently the Earth is worthy of being Thor.
What?
Hey, hey, in DC, there is a sentient planet that wields a Green Lantern ring.
I mean, that's true.
It's Mogo.
I mean,
he's worthy of being a Green Lantern, and he's a fucking planet.
I mean, technically, the table was holding it up.
Yeah, so the table's worthy of being Thor too.
But it's not like the hammer just crashes through whatever it's on.
Everything is worthy of being Thor. Every inanimate is worthy of being Thor.
The concept is when Thor leaves it somewhere, it stays where he left it.
Right.
And if he leaves it on the floor of an elevator, then yeah, sure, fine, it can go up or down. But if the janitor comes along and tries to move it,
well, okay, all right. Well,
as long as that janitor's not worthy
right. Well, getting back on point, this is why I didn't like the movie, and with all of, they're not flaws; they're just how the movie was made. But with all of the things I didn't like about the movie, this is my point. We're spending more time discussing how an elevator is, may be worthy of being Thor. Because there's not really much worth discussing about all of the Age of Ultron. There were a few cool characters, there were some good scenes, but by and large it was just like, can we get to the next scene where they're just talking and having a good time? Or doing something other than punching stuff. Because most of this movie, explosions, punching stuff. Like, let's have the Hulk and Iron Man fight because, Iron Man's... because the Hulk is now like a rage monster, which he usually is anyway. Or let's have Captain America bicker with Iron... It's like, how about we just do things right? Like, maybe I want something to talk about when I review, for, Age of Ultron for a video log. Like, I don't want to just be like, alright, 80% of the movie I don't even need to talk about.
Right.
Because fuck explosions. Like, so yeah. I mean, it's
they didn't really.
It's a decent action movie, and that's what I'm sick of. I want to see a good drama or a good romance or I just want to see a good movie, not a decent action one. Mm-hmm. Like decent action versus good movie, I think good movie will win every single time.
It is kind of a shame because you could tell that there's a lot they could do with the characters,
right?
Because those scenes where they're just interacting with each other are really entertaining,
right,
and interesting. And if they did a whole movie of that, it would still be a great movie. It would be an even better movie.
Right.
In fact, I'd like to see... I liked all the scenes where they were interacting with Ultron.
Right. Ultron was, as far as card-carrying villains go, he was definitely the most human robot and card-carrying... Like, I can see him twirling his invisible robot mustache in a lot of the scenes.
See, I thought Ultron was going to be boring. I thought this was going to be the biggest problem with the movie was... a killer robot as the villain.
Right.
It's like, that's the most boring villain you can come up with.
Yeah, but he didn't whistle Pinocchio. Like, that's the problem. Like,
well, he did
I wanted
I have no strings.
He quoted it at one point.
Yeah.
But he was
he was very funny.
He was funny and interesting. He acted like a person, which
right.
is not what you expect a robot to do. You don't expect a robot
no, but that's the thing.
I didn't expect his face to be so animated.
Well, that was actually a really good. That was a really neat trick / good idea that they had. Actually, no. The point of Ultron being very human, though, I thought was. That's kind of what the point was. Is they weren't. If you think about it, what is artificial intelligence? Well, it's supposed to be just intelligence, sentience that was created artificially. So he should act human. Yeah. And you pointed this out earlier before we did. Before we even conceived of doing this. He makes mistakes. He forgets things. Just like an actual person does. Right. You don't expect a robot to do that.
Right.
But he does make mistakes and he does forget things. And I thought that was a really good idea. To have him just be kind of this meandering idiot savant who has things kind of luckily go his way. Like, even though he's a robot. He's not like the man with a plan. His plan is literally, I'm just going to kill everybody. That's not a plan. That's the end result. Like, so I did like the fact that he was very human. He was, I would say he's even more human than freaking Loki in the Avengers, whose plan is like, I'm going to rule the world, but not really, because, I still have daddy issues, or whatever. Right. It's like, no, he was kind of just this thing that didn't know what to do with his existence, so he decided, I'm going to kill everything. Which is dumb, but, the best lines came from the quote-unquote robots. We have Vision, all of Vision's lines were really good. We have Ultron forgetting what human children are called. Like, he's like little people, and I'm like, oh wow, like this is kind of amazing in all of the weirdest ways.
Trip over his words and stuff, and that's interesting because I think that just shows that that's how advanced he is.
Right,
he's so advanced that he's like a person.
Right,
he's not totally mechanical.
Right, No, but that's the thing. Like, I guess the saying is, the more complex you make it, the simpler it seems. It makes it seem more natural, more intuitive. Right, because human beings' life is complex. It's not, when you make the perfect machine, it's going to act like a human. It's going to make mistakes. It won't be able to add 1 + 1 because you might not have programmed 1 + 1 into it. It'll ask the question of, like, what is the meaning of my existence? But it might not think to ask, like,
be good at math.
Right, no, exactly. It's gonna be different. I mean, that's an idea I really liked about this movie, was they were kind of advancing science in terms of artificial intelligence. Like, forget the superhero stuff. I definitely want to see them play with, like, a computer's brain.
Yeah,
like,
intriguing.
The thing is, with less action and more concepts that we were supposed to, like, buy into or read into, this movie would have been a great, if not perfect, sequel to the Avengers. Like, but there was so much action, I was kind of like, I don't really understand the point of this movie. It was Avengers 2, and that's the problem, is like, I want an Avengers movie, not just a sequel that's going to be, number 2 in a series of 3 or whatever. Those are my thoughts. I think we've rambled on long enough. I guess it is time to start wrapping this up. But any final thoughts from either of you?
Yeah, I have one last thing to say about Age of Ultron. Do you have anything else?
Not about Age of Ultron, no.
Just about the Marvel movies in general. We were talking about
a shield.
It being. Forget all that. No, I'm not going to talk about like what they're going to do in the future and stuff, and all this stuff. I'm not going to talk about
how they aren't including the best Shield character, Agent Coulson, because they don't like the TV series, even though the TV series is like much better than this movie was.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
Oh, too late. Spoilers.
Apparently he's still dead in the movie universe.
Whatever. We're gonna watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after this to prove every one of the Marvel movie execs wrong.
But
that's right, Marvel movie execs. Fuck you guys.
But just on the subject of the Marvel movies, we're talking about angst and the darker moments, and this movie definitely had that. There's definitely a lot of down moments in the movie, but what I like about the Marvel movies is when stuff like that happens, they approach it as a superhero story. What they always say is that it's, bad stuff will happen and the characters will get really down and they'll be,
they'll
questioning things.
Right, they'll have to rise above it.
But, they have to overcome it. That's what the stories are all about.
Right.
It's about overcoming that stuff.
Right.
And they
do. To be fair, though, I guess I don't want to launch into another discussion, but not my understanding, but I guess what bothered me about that in this one was they required Nick Fury. It was like
to inspire them.
Right? No, it was like how
is that his job?
No, but that's the thing. It's like, look, Nick Fury, the plot device, is how they're getting over their angst now. It's not that they actually got over it. It's that they had this Nick Fury plot coupon that allowed them to move on. It was like, oh, if we don't have Nick Fury in this, they won't move on. And that's kind of the impression I got. It's like they're just...
Okay.
It's like, okay, what if they actually got over it on their own, without Nick Fury? Wouldn't that be awesome? It's like, yeah, but we paid Samuel L. Jackson, contract for 8 movies. We have to have him in, because You know, he's in like two scenes.
I mean, he's the heart of the team. That's how.
Oh, he's the heart of the team that isn't around for the whole movie. You know,
I don't know.
he's in two freaking scenes.
But it's like people probably wanted to see him.
Then why not have him in the movie?
They wanted to bring him back for something, and then, so that was his role, to sort of rally them.
Right, no, and that's the thing, it was a role, it wasn't like he was in the movie, it was just, look, Nick Fury, the plot device.
It was a cameo, basically.
Right, and I'm like, you know, I guess that's the problem, is like, they at this point, I mean, I guess the problem I see with the Marvel movie universe is because they are movies, so they're only going to be, 2.5 hours long at most.
Yeah.
And you have, like, hundreds of characters now in these movies that you could have show up, and you're adding more characters that are movie exclusive, and I'm like, yeah, I know you're trying to create a movie universe, but can you? Because, like, if you actually had, like, all of the characters show up at once, you're going to be paying, like 100 or 200 big-name actors by the end of this.
Yeah.
It's like, look, they're all standing in a room, and it's costing us $1 billion to have them stand there.
Well,
like,
not to mention just how convoluted the stories
right.
are getting. And it's becoming, they're running into the same problems that the comic books run into.
Right, because...
It's like you just get lost. It's like you have to read every single comic to
right,
figure out what's going on.
Right, no, and that's the thing. Like I said, with these movies, you kind of have to remember certain things and forget certain other things.
Right.
And it's like, but I saw a movie and I remember all of it, so you're just making me more confused.
I mean, if they're not careful, they're going to run into that same problem that comic books have.
Right.
Which is that new readers can't figure out what's going on.
Right.
And you're just going to start losing people.
Right, no, actually, and that's like, to wrap it up, I mean, I guess that was the thing, is I didn't feel like it was a standalone movie. That was my biggest problem with the movie. I mean, this is why I didn't like the movie, because if I had never seen any of the stuff leading up to even Avengers, or leading up to this, I've watched all of the Marvel movies. I like pretty much all of them. This one, was the first one I was like, I didn't really like it. I didn't think it was that good. It was a decent action movie, but, you have those a dime a dozen. And the fact is that, when I watched this movie, I felt like, oh god, if I hadn't seen any of the other Marvel movies, I don't know what's going on.
It would be meaningless.
Right, so, to all of our viewers, if you're going to watch this movie, especially if you want to like it, you're going to have to go out and find all of the other Marvel movies.
Watch every other Marvel movie.
Right.
But that's,
Alright guys, we've talked long enough. We've said what we had to say, so it's time for us to get on with our lives and do something productive. Take care.
Alright, bye everybody.